Welcome back to another episode of the Scran Line. Today we're going to be doing something I've never done on this channel, which I've always wanted to do. We're going to be making a Elsa princess cake. Now I know that Elsa is actually a queen, but the style of these cakes is called a princess cake. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now this thing is really basic and I kept it basic looking. I didn't put any sleeves on her or any other like big details. Because I have a little secret, guys. I'm not that good at using fondant. In fact, I hate fondant. I hate it mostly because I can't use it very well. And if you want to see someone who is really talented at it, Yolanda Gamp on How to Cake It is incredible at using fondant. Now, she actually made an Elsa cake and it came out a couple days after mine. And hers looks phenomenal. Mine's a little bit more evening gown. We're going to be making this Elsa cake and I'm so excited to share this recipe with you guys. Before we get stuck into today's recipe, I want to quickly remind you guys to hit the subscribe button, guys, because I love seeing this community grow. There's a little bell icon next to it. Hit that to make sure that you're notified as soon as there's a new video. If you're watching this on your phone or on your laptop or wherever you're watching it, YouTube will either email you or send you a notification on your device letting you know I've got a new video up so you can watch it straight away. We're going to begin by making the cake. So we're going to add our flour, sugar, baking powder and salt into a large mixing bowl. We're going to mix that until everything is well combined. Next, you're going to add the softened butter and you're going to mix that until you reach a crumbly sand-like texture. Then you want to add your eggs, milk, oil, vanilla extract, some raspberry flavoring and some pink food gel. You want to mix that until everything is well combined and then you are going to prepare some cake tins. Now for this recipe we're going to need 2 6-inch cake tins and a half sphere 6-inch cake tin as well. You want to spray those and you're going to line the bottom with some baking paper. Now if you guys want to see me make a tutorial on how to line and prepare your baking tins for cakes, let me know in the comments down below because I'll make an actual video for you guys just to explain how to line different size tins really easily. We're going to begin by filling the half sphere cake. So you want to fill that almost all the way, but just under, not just under, but you want to fill it under all the way, if that makes sense. Whatever you're seeing in the video right now is how much you want to fill it. Because this cake actually is baked on a lower temperature and it doesn't rise a whole lot. So that's why you want to fill it like that. When you've done that, you want to fill the remaining 2 cake tins with the rest of the batter. So split that evenly. We're going to bake these and let them cool down completely. Once the cakes have cooled down completely, we're going to trim off the tops and we're going to set them aside. Now let's move on to coloring our frosting. I'm using my Swiss Marine buttercream frosting to color it blue and I'm using some blue food gel to do that. Now we're going to be using an Elsa doll for this cake. You don't have to use an actual Elsa doll for this cake. You can use anything that looks similar, but I wanted to look as Elsa as I can to allow Elsa's legs to actually sit inside this cake. We need to cut some holes in the center. So I'm using a round cookie cutter and I'm going to cut some holes in each of the trimmed cakes. Just big enough for her legs to actually go through the cake. We're going to add a dab of blue frosting on top of our cake board and we are going to spread that a little bit using our small offset spatula. We're going to add the first layer of round cake on top of that and we're going to add some frosting on top of that using our piping bag. Then we're going to smoothen that out with our offset spatula and then add the next layer of cake. You want to repeat that with the frosting and then add your final half sphere cake on top. Now guys, just take care not to make this cake too tall. If while you're putting it together, it looks like it's a bit too tall, trim your cakes. You want them to be about 3 centimeters or 2.5 centimeters in height, the round ones. But the half sphere cake, leave it as it is, half sphere. You're gonna add some frosting around the sides of your cake and you're gonna use the spatula to smoothen it all out. Now this is called a crumb coat. It's just about actually trapping the crumbs in the first layer of frosting so they don't show on the final layer of frosting. For this cake, we're going to be using some fondant. There's no way to make the top half of Elsa's dress without using fondant. You can't use buttercream for this. I thought about it, but I decided to just go with the fondant. Now, I have actually made marshmallow fondant before, and I tried it for this recipe. If you guys want to see me make an actual video on how to make marshmallow fondant, which actually tastes a lot better than regular fondant, let me know in the comments down below and I'll make a video for you guys. We're going to be coloring some fondant dark blue and light blue. Now I'm going to be using blue and purple food gels to do this because it's not a pure blue that Elsa actually has on her dress. It's kind of like a purpley blue, like a royal blue, because she is a queen after all. Once you've colored your fondant and it's evenly colored, and guys, I would recommend using gloves for this, food safe gloves, because you don't want to have blue hands. You're going to roll it out. And for the middle of her dress, we're going to be using the dark fondant, and we're just going to be making a strip. So set that aside. We're going to cut out a large rectangle, and the height of that rectangle needs to be about the height of her torso. So from the top of her chest down to the bottom here. And we are going to wrap it around the front of her, of the doll. Now the doll needs to have its clothes off. And so just take her clothes off and wrap around her new dress, and we are going to pinch the back at the back of her so that it kind of joins together, and then you want to cut off the excess fondant. Wrap around the middle of that dark blue fondant around the middle of her, and you want to repeat the same thing at the back and cut off the excess, and that's her done. So the top of her chest, we want it to kind of be curved. So just use a knife to do that, and then cut around the back, like under her arms and around the back, making it straight so it's nice and neat. You want to set her aside. We're going to come back and finish off the decorations for her. But first we're going to color some frosting. Now we've got different shades of royal blue that we're going to be having. So I think there's about 5 or 6 different shades we've got. So I've left the actual instructions and the ingredients and color combinations in the written recipe, which lives on my website. That's where all of my recipes live. And you can go check that out if you want to make this cake. So once you've got all of your frostings colored, and you want to make sure that the top or the lightest shade of blue is the same color as that light blue fondant, we are going to add those into a piping bag, and we're just going to snip the end off. We don't need any piping tips for this. We're going to begin at the bottom of her dress, so with the darkest shade of frosting. So you want to pipe that around the cake, and then we are going to use a spatula to smoothen that out. I'm using a pointed end offset spatula to kind of make the grooves and the waves in the bottom of her dress. So I actually did this on an angle, and I found that if you do that with all of the different shades of frosting, it kind of makes her dress look like she's twirling around and she's in motion, which is kind of cool. Once you've done the first layer of frosting, you're going to chill the cake for 20 minutes and then repeat that with the next shade of frosting. Repeat that process until you get to the final lightest shade of frosting, and Elsa's ready to go in her dress. So this part was like the coolest part for me, actually putting her in there and seeing all of this come together. Now there are a few finishing touches. We're going to be adding some snowflakes at the bottom of her dress, so I'm using some white frosting for that. And I decided to add some little blue sprinkles around the bottom. I don't know if this looks good or not. I kind of put it on there and then it was too late to take it off, so I just left it on there. Now on the top of her dress, so where her chest is, I'm piping some little bulbs of white frosting, and I'm doing this just to neaten all of that fondant up, because it kind of looks like I cut it roughly, which I did. So I just put that on there to kind of make it look nice. And then on her belt, I added some white frosting details as well. So I used a #1 Wilton piping tip for that. I probably would have used a #2 if I did this cake again, because the #1 was a little bit too small to actually do neat, finer details. Now to neaten up the part where Elsa actually meets her new dress, the cake, we are going to be piping some frosting. So I've just added some of, well, whichever shade you like, into a piping bag fitted with a Wilton #8 tip, and we're just going to pipe some frosting around where that join is. And I'm just gonna smoothen it out with the spatula. It's not necessary to do this, but I wanted to do it anyway. And we're gonna finish her off with some little white details around that part. And guys, that is my Elsa frozen princess cake, but she's really a queen. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I love doing something new. This was so much fun to make. If you guys want to see more different stuff like this, let me know in the comments down below, which queen or princess do you want to see me make next? I'm really enjoying doing these videos, so let me know. Thank you so much for watching, guys. A recipe is on my website. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you all on the next episode of the Scran Line. Let it snow, don't hold it back anymore.